Have you ever wondered why, in one of the most shocking scandals involving power and secrecy, so many expected Hollywood celebrities to be exposed, but their names were barely found in the records? The story of Jeffrey Epstein is one of the most disturbing and controversial scandals in modern history. When documents connected to Epstein began to surface in courts and through investigative journalism, people around the world expected explosive revelations about powerful figures connected to him. Epstein had spent years cultivating relationships with billionaires, politicians, scientists, royalty, and celebrities. Because of his wealth and influence, many assumed that Hollywood's most famous stars would be deeply entangled in the records. However, when large collections of documents often referred to as the Epstein files began to emerge, a surprising question appeared: why were so many Hollywood names missing? Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier who moved comfortably within elite circles across the United States and internationally. He owned luxurious properties in places such as New York City, Palm Beach, and private islands in the Caribbean. Over the years, he developed connections with powerful figures including politicians, academics, business leaders, and occasionally entertainers. But Epstein's public image collapsed when he was accused of operating a sex trafficking network involving underage girls. His arrest in 2019 and his death later that year inside a jail cell turned the case into a global media storm. As investigators, journalists, and courts released documents related to lawsuits and investigations, people hoped the files would reveal the full network of individuals connected to Epstein's activities. Many online discussions predicted that the entertainment industry would be heavily implicated. Hollywood celebrities frequently attend exclusive parties, charity galas, and elite social gatherings, the same types of events where Epstein often appeared. Because of this overlap, many believed that the files would contain a long list of actors, musicians, and other entertainers connected to him. Yet when the documents began to appear, the reality turned out to be more complicated. While some famous individuals from various fields were mentioned, the large wave of Hollywood names that many expected simply did not materialize. This unexpected absence quickly fueled speculation and debate. Some believed the names must have been hidden or removed. Others argued that the assumption itself had been exaggerated from the beginning. One of the most important reasons behind this confusion is the nature of the Epstein files themselves. Many people imagined that investigators had discovered a clear client list naming people who participated in Epstein's crimes. In reality, no such straightforward list exists. The documents released in court cases and investigations include millions of pages of emails, phone records, contact books, flight logs, witness testimonies, and legal filings. These records mention thousands of people for many different reasons. Some names appear because someone attended the same event as Epstein. Others appear because their contact information was stored in his address book. In some cases, people were mentioned by witnesses during interviews. These references vary widely in meaning and significance. Because of this, simply appearing in the files does not automatically imply wrongdoing. A person could be listed because they briefly met Epstein at a party, appeared in a photograph with him, or were mentioned in an email conversation between other people. This nuance is often lost in online discussions where any appearance of a name is interpreted as evidence of guilt. In reality, investigators must distinguish between casual social contact and involvement in criminal activity. Another key factor is that the documents released to the public are not complete. The Epstein investigation spans decades, and the records connected to it are enormous. Courts have gradually released materials connected to lawsuits, particularly those involving Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell. However, large portions of evidence remain sealed or partially redacted to protect privacy, legal rights, and the identities of victims. Redactions are especially common in cases involving sexual exploitation. Authorities must ensure that victims' identities remain confidential, and sometimes this requires removing surrounding information that could reveal personal details. As a result, many documents appear with blacked-out sections where names or details once existed. In some cases, entire pages are withheld. This careful process can create the impression that information is missing or intentionally hidden, even when the redactions are meant to protect survivors rather than powerful individuals. The legal system also plays a significant role in determining what information becomes public. Courts must balance transparency with fairness. If a person was never charged with a crime, publicly releasing their name in connection with allegations could damage their reputation permanently. Because of this, judges often restrict the release of certain information unless it is directly relevant to the case being prosecuted. These legal safeguards mean that not every name connected to Epstein's social circle will necessarily appear in public records. Another important explanation lies in Epstein's social strategy. Although he occasionally interacted with celebrities, the entertainment industry was not the primary focus of his network. Epstein spent much of his time cultivating relationships with people who held political power or financial influence. He donated money to universities, supported scientific research programs, and formed connections with billionaires and policymakers. These relationships helped him build an image as a sophisticated philanthropist interested in science and global issues. This strategy meant that many of Epstein's closest connections were not actors or musicians, but figures from finance, politics, and academia. As a result, the documents contain more references to political leaders, business executives, and intellectuals than to Hollywood stars. The expectation that Hollywood would dominate the files may therefore reflect cultural assumptions rather than the reality of Epstein's social life. Some celebrities do appear in the documents, but often in very minor ways. In certain cases, their names show up only because someone mentioned them in passing. For example, a celebrity might be referenced in an email discussing a social event, or their name might appear in a guest list for a party. These references may have little to do with Epstein personally. Yet when the public sees a familiar name, it often becomes the focus of intense speculation. Media coverage can amplify this effect. When famous individuals are mentioned in any context related to Epstein, the story quickly spreads online. Headlines may emphasize the celebrity connection even if the reference itself is insignificant. Over time, these scattered mentions can create the impression that Hollywood was deeply involved, even when the underlying evidence is weak or unrelated to criminal behavior. Social media has also contributed to the confusion. After the Epstein documents began circulating, numerous unofficial lists appeared online claiming to reveal Epstein clients or Hollywood elites linked to the scandal. Many of these lists were compiled by internet users who misinterpreted court documents or combined unrelated sources. Some even included individuals who had never been connected to Epstein at all. These viral posts fueled public expectations that the official files would confirm widespread involvement from celebrities. When the real documents failed to match these rumors, people began to wonder why certain names were absent. In many cases, however, the names were missing simply because there was never any evidence connecting those individuals to Epstein's crimes in the first place. The gap between rumor and documented fact became a major source of misunderstanding. The timing of Epstein's death also complicated the investigation. After his arrest in 2019, Epstein died while awaiting trial, preventing prosecutors from fully presenting their case in court. His death meant that many potential witnesses were never questioned publicly during a trial, and some investigative paths were left unfinished. Without a full courtroom examination of the evidence, many questions about his network remain unresolved. Meanwhile, the prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell revealed some aspects of the operation but did not produce a comprehensive map of every person who interacted with Epstein. Maxwell was ultimately convicted for helping recruit and exploit underage girls, yet the case focused primarily on her role rather than on identifying a large group of additional participants. Public fascination with the Epstein files continues today because the story sits at the intersection of wealth, power, secrecy, and crime. Epstein's ability to maintain connections with influential people for years raises difficult questions about how elite networks operate and how accountability can be enforced when powerful individuals are involved. Each new document release sparks renewed interest as people search for clues that might reveal more about the full scope of the scandal. However, the absence of numerous Hollywood names in the files does not necessarily indicate a hidden conspiracy or secret cover-up. In many cases, it reflects the realities of legal procedures, incomplete records, and the difference between social contact and criminal involvement. The documents that exist today provide only a partial view of Epstein's world, and interpreting them requires caution and context. Ultimately, the Epstein case serves as a reminder of how complex high-profile investigations can be. Large networks of social connections often blur the lines between friendship, business, and influence. In such environments, appearances can be misleading. A photograph, an email, or a brief meeting may place two people in the same orbit without revealing the nature of their relationship. For the public, the challenge is separating speculation from evidence. The Epstein files remain a valuable source of information about the circles in which he operated, but they are not a definitive catalog of guilt. As researchers and journalists continue to analyze the documents, new insights may emerge about the broader systems of power that allowed Epstein to operate for so long. Until then, the mystery of the missing Hollywood names highlights an important truth. Sometimes the most widely believed narratives are built not on confirmed facts, but on assumptions shaped by media attention and public imagination. Understanding the Epstein files requires patience, critical thinking, and a willingness to examine the evidence carefully rather than relying on rumors alone. If you found this video interesting and want to uncover more hidden stories behind powerful people and mysterious events, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what do you think is really behind the mystery of the missing Hollywood names?